All right, welcome to step 3. We're going to be creating a thesis argument here. I'm going to be able to talk a little bit slower because I don't have as many slides. Visit my Patreon to buy me an upgraded account. Just kidding, I don't have a Patreon. Anyways, so thesis. This is a word that gets a lot of people really scared, okay? All the thesis is your main argument. Now, we could make it more complicated than that. You've probably heard more complicated things. But if you're worried right now about writing a thesis, just remember it's your main argument. Okay? So your thesis should answer the prompt directly and quickly. And so for my essay, that's going to be, how does Theseus, my hero, go through a hero's journey? Period. Now, there's other stuff that is included there, but if you're worried about the thesis right now, just that is the basic building block that you're going to be answering. So really what you'll do is you'll map your story onto the hero's journey. That's kind of the simplest way to put it. Okay, you're going to be mapping your story onto the hero's journey. If you remember, this is what the hero's journey looked like. And so on the next slide, I'll show you exactly how I did that for Theseus. Go ahead, pause, guess which ones I'm going to choose for Theseus. Okay. So I chose to do crossing the first threshold as he moves from the normal world, the status quo world, into the special world of fear. I also chose to focus on the meeting with the goddess. Okay, which in this case wasn't a literal goddess, but meeting with someone who gives him a gift and sort of tempts him, and then the magic flight out of the underworld into and back to the status quo. So those are the 3 I'm focusing on. Remember, you can focus on 2. You could focus on all 17 on here. You can focus on more than that. But I'm going to focus on 3. So on your organizer, you'll see I have all of my summary stuff still in my organizer. And just after that comes the, how does this hero go through a hero's journey? Does anything make it unique? And that's where I'm putting my thesis. Now, I left it small because a thesis statement is just your argument. And if in doubt, if you're concerned, if you're overwhelmed, just please keep it simple. We can always revise it later. So you'll see mine, I've got blue and yellow. Blue is sort of the standard argument, that 85% on the rubric. I added the yellow for 100, where I add how it's like a unique spin on the hero's journey. So I say Theseus goes on a classic example of the hero's journey as defined by Joseph Campbell. Theseus clearly crosses a threshold, done, and has a magic flight out of the underworld, done, thanks to his goddess Ariadne, who's down here. You can't see it right now. So 1, 2, 3. However, here comes the complication. Theseus's return to the normal world is spoiled by his father's death. He departs from the normal hero's journey. So there's that part where I'm kind of giving it its own spin, adding that uniqueness. But again, the base you need for now is just this blue. What are the parts of the hero's journey they go on? And state it simply. You can always revise it later. So if you want to pause, here is my whole introduction now. If you want to read that, you'll recognize the other parts from the other videos. If you haven't watched the other videos, they're available on YouTube. You might be saying, hey, Mr. Buse, I don't see a good definition of the hero's journey. In a bigger assignment, I'd say, well, we need to more clearly explain the hero's journey, maybe go a little more in depth into the sort of path that you'll take in describing it. But for now, since we're saying I'm the audience and, we've been doing this hero's journey stuff for the past week, we don't need to reintroduce the whole concept of the hero's journey. Now, you can add that if you want to, but it is not required. Okay. If you see any mistakes in my writing, great. This is a first draft. I already found a couple while I was editing it. But otherwise, with plenty of time to spare, go ahead and stop here. You can fill out your organizer. Again, you're adding in that thesis. Or for this one, if you want to just add your thesis onto your intro, do that. And then in the next video, I'm going to go over writing body paragraphs, which I'll give you a different name for body paragraphs because all they do is they support the thesis. So we can just call them thesis supporters. See you in the next video. It's nice to not have to rush off.